Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nahmadullah wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'ad. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome back to our 8th episode of our series, The Saviors of Islam, where we are diving into the great personalities and individuals of the history of Islam that have left a legacy all throughout the world. My dear brothers and sisters, oftentimes when we think about the legends of the past and the people of the past that have left an ongoing legacy, and if we dive into their personality and their qualities that made them those legends, we find that they were people that were not worried about themselves. They were individuals who were selfless and were not selfish. They were people that were not worried about instant benefit for their own families or for their own identities, but rather they were individuals that dedicated their lives in serving people, that learned that respect and honor was through the servitude of people. They learned that the respect within the world and in the akhirah was due to helping people. وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. How Allah told the Prophet ﷺ, spread your wings for the believers and become selfless towards the believers and serve them. And these were people, the legends of Islam, were individuals that learned how to do this at the epitome, at the peak of it. And today we speak about a person who also became the embodiment and a symbol of this act and of this quality, who throughout his life, he was not a person of wealth, nor was he a person that came from a great and famous family, nor was he from a town that was known to the Muslim world. He was from the town that no one knew, nor did he live a very lengthy life. That because of his long life, we know of him today. But rather, he was a person that learnt, that dug deep within himself and found that how can I serve people? How can I become beneficial towards people? And how can I become an individual that even when I leave the world, people are remembering my name, not because of my wealth, not because of my family, but because I learnt how to take in the time that I have and serve it to people and use it for the people. And this man was none other than the great, the legend, the hero himself, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala.
دع الأيام تفعل ما تشاء وطب نفسا إذا حكم القضاء ولا تجزع لحادثة الليالي فما لحوادث الدنيا بقاء.
Who was Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala? Today we know him through this kunya of his, of Imam Nawawi. But his real name was Abu Zakaria Yahya ibn Sharaf al-Hizami al-Nawawi. Born and raised in a small village east of the city of Damascus in Sham. Small city known as An-Nawat. Today we would not know this city if it was not for this great Imam. He was raised in the small city of An-Nawat. And the scholars say that the greatness that he was given was not something which was that came later on in his life. He was special. It was inherent within him. He was special as a child. And Al-Maraqashi rahimahullah says one day I was walking along the park and I see all of these young children running and playing and enjoying themselves as children should do, enjoying their time, having no worries upon their head or any type of inclination towards anything but playing. These were children. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, an 8-year-old child, he is standing on the corner of this park, and the children are coming, grabbing him, pulling him, forcing him to play with them, as children do with each other. And this child keeps running away from them, and he sits in the corner, puts his hands on top of his forehead, and he just starts thinking and contemplating. And in this deep thought of his, I come to him and I ask him, "Oh young child, why are you not playing with the rest of the children? Why are you not with the rest of these kids enjoying yourself? You're just a kid. You're just a child." And he says to him, "Oh Imam, oh elder, ما خلقنا لهذا. ما خلقنا لهذا. We were not created for this. We were not created to play and just enjoy ourselves. We have a bigger purpose in our life." And this was something found within him at the age of 8. As a child, he was profoundly invested in the akhirah. He was thinking about what will happen to me when I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our children today, at the ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, what are they invested in? What are they thinking of? What are they doing? Are they even thinking of the akhirah? Imam Al-Raqashi rahimahullah says, I go to his father after this and I tell him that I find that this child, I feel that this child will be someone great. He had the firasa to think of this. And then they asked the father that, how did your child become like this? And he answered by saying that, I have never fed even a morsel of haram food to my child. Everything that he eats is from my own halal earning, my own halal rizq. Today we think of raising our children in their tarbiyah, in their upbringing is great because of the schools that they go to. Take them to good schools, they will be raised good. Take them to good places and they will be raised good. Take them to the masjid and they will be great students. And we think of all these physical connections that make a child great. Indeed they do. But we forget about the biggest and most dominant factor which is used in the piety of a child, in the greatness of a child, which is to feed them halal rizq. Feed them halal through halal means and through halal food. He says, I have never fed him a morsel of haram food, and because of that, I find that he is extremely pious. At the age of 9 years old, one day he wakes up in the middle of the night, the 27th night of Ramadan, and he wakes up his parents, and he says to them that, oh my beloved parents, is this night supposed to be special? And the father says, why do you say that? He said, because today I saw a light from the sky coming within our house. I see this light coming inside of our house. And indeed, he witnessed Laylatul Qadr on that night. As a child, he had this zeal of knowledge, becoming a hafiz before the age of 11, and continuously learning from his father. And a time came where he said to his father, oh father, I want to study more, because in the small town of Nawa, there are no opportunities to study. I want to go abroad and study. The father says to his child, seeing the zeal within him, he says to him, I want you to study, but at this time I need you. I need you because there is business that I am doing and I am taking care of is becoming difficult for me. I need your help as a young man. Help me. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah says it was very difficult for me to say no. I wanted to study. But my father asked me, I put away my own desires. And I said, oh father, I am ready to work with you. So this is important for children, that even at times where it's something which you really want to do, and it's pressing, and it may even be something permissible, but looking at the desires and the wants of our parents, we should be able to reconstruct our desires and our thoughts. He tells the father, I'm staying with you. And he continues to stay with him for the next 6 years of his life. Finally, at the age of 18 years old, the father sends him off to Damascus, the center of Sham. And at this time and age, let's put some perspective to what's happening in the Muslim world. He is born in the year 631. At a time where Muslims are being lashed against through every corner. The Mongols are killing the Muslims of Baghdad. They are making the rivers of the Euphrates and the Tigris full of ink in the blood of Muslims. The Crusaders are killing the Muslims of Palestine and of Misr. All of this is happening at the same time. And at this time and age, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala this is the natural sunnah of Allah. That it does not matter how many people you can kill. It does not matter how many cities you can burn to the ground. But the deen of Allah will continue to progress. Inna anzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. So even though all of this was happening, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah was used as a vessel, as a vehicle of protecting the sacred text of Islam. So at the age of 18, he goes to the madrasa of al-Rawahiyya, al-madrasa in Damascus, and he starts studying. And it is said about him by al-Maraqashi, who was also an historian of that time and of that era. He says that Imam Nawawi rahimahullah would take 12 classes every single day. 1 hour for each class. So he would be in a physical class with the teacher learning for 12 hours a day. If we ask a university student, how many classes are you taking? 3 classes a week, a semester. Every single day, 12 hours of continuous learning. And then he would go on. Imam Nawawi talks about this time of his life himself. He says, for 12 hours I would learn, and then for the next 12 hours I would teach my classmates and review with them. So that's 24 hours. So how would he sleep? How would he pray tahajjud? Where would he eat? My dear brothers and sisters, he wouldn't sleep much. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah says, for the first 2 years I was studying in this madrasa, and I was pursuing knowledge for the first 2 years, when I was taking these classes, my back nor my side felt the comfort of the ground. Never for these 2 years did I ever lie down and sleep on my back. How would I sleep? I would be reading the texts in the books of the Shafi'i fiqh. I would be reading the tafasir of Ibn Abbas and Mujahid. And while I would be reading these texts, sleep would overcome me and I would fall asleep on my books. I would fall asleep on my books. And I would wake up. Imam Dhahabi rahimahullah said, he would wake up in shock. Did I just fall asleep? Quickly go make wudu and come back reading and studying again. This was his life. He gave his life for studying. Today, my dear brothers and sisters, we have time for everything else. But when it comes time for studying ilm, it becomes difficult. Giving 6 hours or 2 hours a week becomes difficult. Reading some text from a hadith and Quran becomes difficult. Because we made it the aim of our life to just continuously benefit from the world. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. These were the legends who became the demonstration of this ayah. That, oh Allah, give us the best of this world and the akhirah. And they gave their time for the akhirah. 24 hours a day they were studying and reading. Imam Dhahabi rahimahullah says that the room of Imam Nawawi rahimahullah was like a warehouse of books. You would walk in and books would be all over the ground. He had a small room. And he says that if a guest would come to his house, out of shame and embarrassment, they would leave within a few minutes. Because as they would walk inside of the house, there would be books all over the floor. So in order for them to sit down, he would have to pick up books, rearrange his books, move them out of the way, and finally there would be a place for them to sit. So out of embarrassment and shame, they would just walk in, say salam, and just leave. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah says, I would do this on purpose. Because I didn't have time for people. I didn't have time for this. My purpose and goal was to continuously learn and write. And so this writing can be beneficial to people that come after me. And we find this to be so true in the life of Imam Nawawi rahimahullah. Even though he was a scholar that came after the first few generations of knowledge of Imam Bukhari, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Muslim, Imam Shafi'i. He was a scholar that came in the 7th century of Islam. But we read his books as much as we read those people's books. He was accepted. He had books in every single science of knowledge. Today we read his books. His books are on the shelves of every masjid. The Riyadh al-Saliheens, the Arba'in al-Nawawis, the Al-Majmu' more than 1,000 pages that he was unable to finish even till he left the world before finishing this book. Al-Minhaj, the Sharah of Sahih Muslim. We cannot read Sahih Muslim unless we read the Sharah of Imam Nawawi with it. It is almost impossible to understand the depth of the ahadith of Imam Muslim without reading the commentary of Imam Nawawi rahimahullah. Scholars calculated how much would Imam Nawawi have to write in order for all of these books to be complete in the short span that he lived. Only lived for 45 years. 45 years was his life. Never got married. Once a student asked him, "Oh Imam, why did you not get married?" And he answered and he said that I was scared. I was scared. Because I remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the greatest amongst you are the ones that are greatest to their women. And I know that if I would have gotten married, I would not be able to give the rights of my wife because I am so immersed, engulfed within my knowledge and within my teaching. So I would not be able to give her rights. So I continued to live my life alone, writing and pursuing knowledge. What a person he was, that even today, even though just 45 years of his life, there are books of his all across the libraries of all the Muslim countries. People would ask him, now what makes you so special? Imam Dhahabi writes about this, that every person has their own qualities that makes him great. And what made Imam Nawawi special, through his own words in the writing of Imam Dhahabi rahimahullah. He says that Imam Nawawi had three qualities. And if a person just had one of these three qualities, they would be the greatest people of their time. Just one of these three qualities, they would be the greatest people of their time. Number one, the level of scholarship that he had attained. Not only in one field, but rather in the different sciences of Islam, the level of scholarship, the level of dedication that he had towards knowledge. Today we learn for a small portion of time and we are ready to stamp and seal ourselves as scholars. These are people that gave their entire lives in dedicating themselves to learning and teaching. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah was known as a person that would not take any money for his teaching. He wouldn't take a dime or a nickel for the time that he would give to teach. So how would he eat? How would he live, you may ask? He would live off the fruits that his father would send him from the city of Nawa. And he would say about him, Imam Maraqashi rahimahullah says that he would only eat once a day. And he was a perpetual faster. He would fast every single day. And he would eat a few dates and a few fruits when he would break his fast with a cold glass of water, and he would continue the next day's fast. This is his day, this is his food. So he was lost in the ocean of knowledge that Allah had given him. Number two, he says the quality that made him great was the level of inclination that he had towards Allah and the abstinence that he had towards the world. He had absolutely no inclination towards the world. He did not desire any of the riches of the world. The kings of the world would come to him and bow down to him to give him the wealth of the world, but he would turn them away. And the third quality that he had was the quality of enjoining good. تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. He was enjoining good and continuously forbidding evil. He was not scared of the tyrants of that time. He was not scared of the king of kings of that time. There is a beautiful story that al-Zahir, who became the king of the Mamluk dynasty after defeating the Mongols. And he calls Imam Nawawi rahimahullah to his palace so that he can sign off on a fatwa. And when he called him to his palace and he asks him to sign on this fatwa, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah reads it and he sees within that fatwa there are the rights of the Muslims that are being taken and stolen. He says to him, to his face, that I will not sign this fatwa. And the king says, I will detain you. I can kill you. I am the king of the Mamluk dynasty of the Islamic world and kingdom. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah says, I will not sign this, and I don't care. It doesn't matter what you do to me. It doesn't matter what you do to me. So finally the king lets him go. And later his ministers ask him, that why did you not detain him? Why did you not punish him? And he responds and he says that for some reason I had some fear in my heart of this person. I had fear I was afraid of him, even though he is the king of the sword. And Imam Nawawi has nothing. But he said, I was afraid of him. And this reminds us of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, مَنْ عَادَى لِي وَلِيًّا فَقَدْ آذَنْتُهُ بِالْحَرْبِ. Whosoever becomes a friend of Allah, and a person in any way, shape or form harms him or tries to punish him, Allah wages war against him. And this is that fear that the king felt. He wasn't afraid of telling people off as long as they were doing something against the tenets and teachings of Islam. He was not a person that would tell people off due to his respect being taken, but rather his students say, until the day that he left this world, he did not let us help him in any way. He would not let us hold his shoes or bring him food or anything of that sort, but rather he was the one that was serving us. He would warm up food for us. He would bring us food. He would bring us beddings. He was the one that was often and continuously helping his students. And this was a quality of continuously helping people and enjoining good that made him great. Imam Dhahabi rahimahullah says, if a man just had one of these qualities, that would be enough for him. This was Imam Nawawi rahimahullah. And at the tender age of 45, and some scholars say 44 years and some months, at the year of 676 after Hijrah, he departs from the world. And what did he leave behind in the world? What did he leave behind? His name is being mentioned today. I am talking about him. Millions of people are hearing about him. Did he leave a lot of wealth? Did he leave children? إِنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ. That indeed it's your wealth and your children that continuously hold up your name. What did he leave? Why are we mentioning his name today? The legacy that he left was a legacy of books, the legacy of knowledge, the legacy of sincerity of his knowledge. Today we remember him because we are indebted to him through his service that he did for the sacred sciences of Islam. My dear brothers and sisters, all he left was a thobe that he used to wear, a turban that he used to wear on top of his head, and a staff that he used to hold out of the love of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Nothing else he had in his possession, not a single dime, not a single dinar. We read about other scholars Like Salahuddin, he had 1 dinar and 37 dirhams. Umar Abdul Aziz had 50 dirhams. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah had absolutely not a single dime left in his ownership. He left the world with his clothes. And they had to borrow money from his family to do his burial. But today we mention his name out of love for him, because we find and we are able to come to this conclusion that the great ones are not those that are selfish, but rather the great ones are those that can serve people and are selfless. And we hope that we can understand the importance of this quality that he had, of the zeal of seeking knowledge all throughout his life. All throughout his life, he would be a student of knowledge, and never would he say that I am a teacher of knowledge. His laqab that was given to him by scholars of that time, Muhyiddin, the revival of deen. He would say, whoever calls me this, I will not forgive him. So do not call me this name of Muhyiddin. So simple and so sincere in his servitude of knowledge. Because of that, we have his books, we have his text, and we are benefiting from it, even in our madrasas, in our jami'as, in our institutes, as young brothers and sisters today, and as parents. Let it be a part of our zeal, and let it be a part of our objective and mission of our life, that we will also learn how to benefit from the knowledge of those people that have left it from before us, and we will benefit from their books and read them and benefit from their knowledge and continue to pass that knowledge on to the people that come after us. May Allah give us the ability to seek the sacred sciences, to seek them in whatever capacity that we can, but as long as we are doing it, we are benefiting from it, and we are going on to pass it to others, this will become a source of us benefiting after we leave this world. May Allah give us the ability to do this. Jazakallah khair wa akhu da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.